sitting there on the grass, and he goes in Spanish. He says, "Brother Paul." I said, "Yes, Brother Peter." He said, I've pastored a lot of cattle." That's the same word in Spanish. And I said, "Yes, I know." He said, "I've pastored a lot of people." I said, "I know that too." And he kind of looked at me. He's a very serious man with a twinkle in his eye, twinkle in his eye, and he said, "Cattle are a lot easier." I said, "Yes, brother." So don't think, "Oh my goodness, Christ is getting this wonderful gift, here I am." Like my wife sometimes when I forget her birthday present. "Where's my birthday present?" "Honey, I'm your present." "No, really, where's my present?" I mean, to give a bunch of lying, hating, wicked, depraved, ugly human beings to your son? So what is the gift here? See, I want you to realize that it's not some worth inside of humanity. We've put an end to our worth. Not some beauty. We killed our beauty. It's not some gift. We stomped all those into the filth of our own lives. The beauty is the grace of the work that God is going to do to transform those people. And what He's giving them is a work of God. You see the difference? Not this soupy idea that Jesus can't live without me. Not this soupy idea that man has this some incredible, infinite worth that could even delight his Creator. But the joy of this is the work of God in it. To take something. As a matter of fact, it may be argued that He took the worst thing He could take and made it the greatest gift He could give. And He did that in order to demonstrate His power. 1 Corinthians chapter 1, "Not many of you are noble, not many of you are wise." So the greatness of the gift is demonstrated by beginning with basically one of the most, if not the most worthless gift you could possibly give, and turning it into something absolutely precious. We are recipients. If you want a title, then let me give you a good one to hold on to all your life. Recipient of the grace of God. Do you want to be something else? Recipient of the grace of God. That's why I love the Apostle John so much. He doesn't refer to himself as the one who loved Jesus, but the one whom Jesus loved. He doesn't even boast in his love, which would be a really good thing for some of you to learn. I find it very difficult, although it is not unbiblical to sing, "Oh, how I love Jesus." I find it very difficult for me to boast in "Oh, how I love Jesus." I find very little to sing about in my love for Him. But I find a whole lot to sing about in "Oh, how Jesus loves me." Okay, "Be with me where I am, so that they may see my glory, which you have given me." Now, Christ now reveals the great motive behind His petition. He asked that His people might see His eternal splendor, the fullness of His excellencies, perfections, beauty, and power. The Son desires to be glorified because He is God, and it is right for Him to do so. You know, entertainment, and I may get myself in trouble here, entertainment, just at face value, an entertainer. Now, maybe there's a motive out there that I'm unaware of, but it seems to me the motive is I want everyone to see me. I want everyone to see how funny I am. or I want everyone to see how beautifully I sing. Now I know that there are boasts made in an opposite direction that says I'm doing this all for them. But I find that very hard to believe. As a matter of fact, in some schools of music, the first time a child picks up a violin, starts playing, the parents are encouraged, even at the first practice session, to applaud the child. Just applaud him and applaud him. But what that seems to me to be doing is to cause the child to fall in love with the violin because of the applause they receive. Because they are made the center. So in most cases, when someone wants to take center stage, it is not for altruistic reasons. It is not for selfless reasons. But here we hear Christ saying, "Be with me where I am, so that they may see my glory which you have given me." Now, although we talk with more certainty than we ought to regarding the fall of Satan, it does seem possibly that he sought to exalt himself. So what makes Christ any different? I mean, if we heard this kind of language coming out of a man or an angel, it would almost turn our stomach. Who do you think you are? I mean, if you were to say, "I'm going to preach tonight, Brother Paul. I want you to be there so that you can see my glory." It's like the young man who the pastor gave him an opportunity to preach, and as he was walking up to the pulpit, his head was held high and his chest was out, and boy, he was so excited about what he had to say. And after about 15 minutes of absolute nothing, babbling and everything else, falling apart up there behind the pulpit, he walked down with his shoulders hung over and his head dragging on the ground. And the preacher looked at him later and said, "Son, if you'd have walked up there the way you came down, you would have came down the way you walked up." We know that someone seeking glory for himself, it's a grotesque thing. And this in itself is a proof of the deity of Jesus Christ. Who but God can use this kind of language? And for our Jehovah's Witness friends, they need to realize that not even angels can use this kind of language. It's just not right. No angel can say, "I want them to see my glory." Why? Because it's clearly said out God does not share His glory. You see, these statements that you think are just common, ordinary statements are filled with meaning. Only God can say these things. Only God can do these things. So, first of all, I want you to recognize that He is God, and it is right for Him to seek His glory. Now, another thing, to shun this glory would be to deny His deity. God takes first place, unapologetically. Why? Because He's God. Do you want Him to give it to you? I've said this a million times based on Edwards, Jonathan Edwards, and it's so true. But not just Edwards, everyone realizes this. A rational being must have an end for all that he does. If I catch you out doing something, why are you doing this? I don't know. That's irrational. All beings, even the creature, has a reasonable end for his works, for what he is doing. So we must ask ourselves, what is the reasonable end for creation, for the existence of life? What is the reasonable end? Now we can narrow this down to two choices. Well, three. If God is not a reasonable being, then it could be for no reason at all. But we know that's not true. So we can narrow it down now to two. He does it either for His creation or He does it for Himself. Now, who should be the end or the purpose or the reason behind the existence of everything? Should it be the creature or should it be the Creator? It should be the Creator. I always answer that when people say to me, they go, I have a real problem with God being the end of all things. I go, well, who would you like to take His place? You? And basically I can tell you that in modern day contemporary Christianity, that's exactly what's happened. If I walk into a church and say, God's done everything He's ever done for you, not one person will have a problem with it. But if I get in there and say, God's done everything He's ever done for Himself, well, I don't believe that.